I never thought a man would point a gun at my daughter's face right on my own land. That's the kind of nightmare you think happens to other people somewhere far away, never on your own porch, never in front of the gate you built with your own hands. But that's how it started for me. A quiet night out on the ranch, the air holding the last warmth of the day, the grass trimmed short by the wind, headlights drifting in like ghosts across the hills. I remember the dust rising, catching those beams and turning the world gold for a second. Then the voice hit, cutting straight through the dark. Freeze. One word, cold as steel. I was halfway off the porch, boots still finding dirt, when I saw him, Donald Snipe, the HOA security chief. Boots planted in my driveway like he owned the place. Gun out, arm locked, aiming right at Sarah. My daughter. You never forget a sight like that. She just finished unlocking the gate. Didn't even flinch. Just stood there, hands open, voice steady as stone. Holster your weapon. You're brandishing on private property. You could feel the shift then. The porch light made a little halo in the dark, but that gate became a stage for something ugly. My chest burned hot, then cold. That's my land, I told him. That's my daughter you're aiming at. The wind carried in the smell of water and hay, and for a moment I wasn't sure if I should shout or just let my anger show on my face. But Sarah, she's been in worse rooms, faced scarier men than some self-important guard. One hand, badge raised, voice low, Special Agent Sarah Morrison, federal law enforcement. You're outside your authority. She told him the deed, clear as day, laid the line. Our line. The road starts at the cattle guard and ends at the barn. Donald barked orders, his partner shifting nervously behind him, unsure if he should even keep his hand on his own gun. I stepped forward, old splinters in the porch boards, memories pressing up from the ground the way they do when you realize something's about to break. Holster it, I said louder this time. You get older, your anger changes, less fire, more weight. He hesitated. For a second, the gun dipped. Then he found some leftover bravado, pointed it right back. Identification, he snapped. You're not the agency that asks for it, Sarah said. Stand down. You know how sometimes you hear a lake at night? That quiet shushing, like it tried to lull you to sleep or warn you something's coming. That's what I heard as I watched a gun follow my daughter's breath. Fear does strange things to people, makes them believe their own lies, makes them think they're right if they're just loud enough. But Sarah didn't blink. No one has to be embarrassed tonight, she said. Just put it away. Document your contact. Go home. Simple as that. Eventually, Donald backed down. Not gracefully, just enough to keep his story going for the board, enough so no one would bleed. We'll file an incident report with the board, he said. Expect fines for obstruction. I said, expect phone calls about brandishing. He holstered, stomped off, headlights swinging back down the road. The partner practically melted into relief. Sarah came back to the porch. Only then did she let me look her in the eye. You all right? I asked. I've seen worse, she said, but he shouldn't carry. No, I said, he really shouldn't. Inside, we made tea and sat at the kitchen table. The kettle's whistle a little comfort in a world that had just shown me how close you can come to losing everything. He thinks the road's theirs, Sarah said. He's been taught to. I spread out the old deeds, the ones my grandfather kept in a battered manila folder, the lines and signatures that meant more to me than any fence ever could. We go slow, I said. Document. Define authority. Prepare for escalation. She already had her list, sheriff, lawyers, neighbors who remembered where the old survey pins were buried. She'd come home to help me hold the line. I remembered building that dam all those years ago, how you watch water, money, power, how you learn that when the wrong people hold authority, it all rots. Tonight wasn't the flood, I said, just the river changing course. The old papers went back in the chest. Tomorrow, we'd file our own report. Morning came with words spreading through Redwater County faster than any wildfire. Old ranchers at the diner already spinning it into myth. Engineer's daughter, federal agent. HOA boys. Everyone got the story wrong except for one thing. Donald Snipe had drawn a weapon he had no right to carry. Sarah and I found fresh tire tracks by the gate, sign bolts loosened overnight. Didn't have long to breathe before the white SUV reappeared, this time with Bethany Whitfield, HOA president herself, pastel blazer, hummingbird brooch. Her smile was so tight it could crack glass. Unfortunate misunderstanding, she called it. Tried to claim the road as community property. I told her the deed said otherwise. The water, the road, all of it. Ours since before her subdivision was even a blueprint. She played polite, said she'd clarify with county records. Told us to leave the gate open. Until then, stay off my property, I replied. Sarah stepped in, reminded Bethany her security officer had aimed a gun at a federal agent. Not an access issue, a felony. Bethany's mask slipped. Just a second. If that's true, I'm sure it'll be handled internally. And then she was gone, SUV vanishing down the road, silence thick behind her. That day, the first letter showed up. Formal warning. Obstruction of community access. Brass thumbtack to the post. Her signature, not even inked by hand. I could hear Pops laughing from somewhere. They can't take what you can prove you own. Sarah was already scanning papers, prepping for a war fought in file folders and footnotes. We drove into town for certified copies. Courthouse clerk remembered my name, brought out a folder thick as a novel. Grandfather's purchase, water rights, the 1986 survey, all of it, proof the road never touched any HOA boundary. But Sarah spotted something new. Petition to annex the roadway, filed by Bethany, 3 months old. If it cleared, they'd claim easement rights right through our gate. That night, a fresh stake beside the gate, orange ribbon, proposed boundary adjustment. Sarah's voice didn't waver. We'll mark it back, with evidence. The rain came in, washing the dust but not the threat. By morning, the HOA's maintenance trucks were already surveying fence lines, clipboards flashing, faces smug with new authority. Routine inspection, they said. Not HOA land. I told them. That's under review, they replied. Sarah recorded everything, every trespass. Storm clouds rolled in. Plastic envelope wedged under my truck wiper. Official HOA notice. Remove obstruction gate in 72 hours or face enforcement. Enforcement? Sarah's eyes narrowed. Maybe another midnight visit. But this time, we'd be ready, every camera rolling. That night, the storm broke, and with it, more headlights on the ridge road. Sarah and I watched them on the monitors, flashlights bobbing, measuring the signpost, hands on the chain. I stepped out, shouted over the thunder, "You're trespassing." Lightning lit their faces, fear plain as day. Authorized by the HOA, one yelled back. Authorization doesn't override ownership, I called. They ran. Sarah saved the footage, crisp as daylight, every face in focus. That's the proof we needed, she said. Morning brought a different kind of notice, a thick envelope, Lakeside Pines, HOA Legal Affairs. Notice of intent to file injunction. Sarah read over my shoulder. They're setting up a false record, claiming we interfered with official duties. Let them file, I said. We'll answer with truth. Sheriff McKay stopped by, eyes on the envelope, then the video stills. You'll need every bit of proof you can stack, he said. Bethany's got friends on the zoning board. We kept stacking. That night, we walked the property line, puddles reflecting the fence. They'll come back, Sarah said. Then we'll be ready. I told her. The next attack came by envelope. Administrative hearing. Alleged violation of community easement access. Scheduled for Friday. Sheriff McKay warned us to record everything. They were bluffing until the county signed their petition. Now your access road's in limbo. Technically public, technically private. Dangerous ground. We needed witnesses. Old Ernest Walker, neighbor downriver, handed me brittle survey maps. Beth's been rewriting this valley for years, he said. But she's not the first to think she could change the river. There, in his papers, Morrison Ranch, exclusive access and waterway, signed by my grandfather, county engineer's stamp. "Don't thank me yet," he said. Bethany's got a way of twisting truth. Back home, Sarah traced the HOA security company's ownership straight to Bethany's brother-in-law, shell company's dirty money. Marcus, our friend at the agency, got involved. By morning, an anonymous envelope arrived, ledger pages, company names, payments looping between accounts. "Classic self-dealing," Marcus said. "And those signatures, Bethany's husband's handwriting on everyone." That evening, we prepped our evidence. "Let's remind them laws still exist outside HOA gates," Sarah said. Thursday, the HOA clubhouse glowed, neighbors packed and tight. Bethany at the front, Donald lurking in the back. Agenda: vote on new security provisions. Sarah whispered, "She's formalizing the trespass." I stood. "Under what authority are private security carrying firearms?" Bethany stumbled. "Permits expired. One denied renewal." Sarah let her know we had video footage. That broke the spell. Homeowners started murmuring, the room waking up. Afterward, Donald cornered us. "You think you can humiliate me?" Sarah met his eyes. "No, you did that yourself. Outside, I found a spent casing by the fence." Sarah slipped it into an evidence bag. "You're building a case, not just a defense," I said. "It's the only way this ends right," she replied. The next morning, Marcus called. "The HOA payments are looped through shell accounts to a trust in Bethany's family. Federal-level embezzlement." That afternoon, we filed the evidence at the courthouse. The clerk raised an eyebrow. "You're not filing a complaint. You're filing a storm." "Good," Sarah said. "It's overdue." That night, fog hugged the lake. Sarah cracked the anonymous flash drive, scanned invoices, emails, 5 years of payments to fake companies, money routed offshore, security budgets padding pockets. "We've got them," she said, and for the first time in days, I felt hope. Donald came back, waved a violation notice at our gate. "You're trespassing, Donald," I told him. He smirked. "Lines change." "Not this one," I said. He warned us the board was voting on our removal that night. "We don't have privileges," I replied. "We have deeds." At the board meeting, Bethany called for sanctions. I asked how funds were being spent. Sarah projected our evidence. Offshore accounts, fake contractors, personal purchases. The crowd gasped. Marcus flashed his badge. Federal jurisdiction. I laid down the old survey maps. This road and lake access never belonged to the HOA. The room exploded. Questions, disbelief, then silence as Marcus displayed an email, Bethany ordering pressure on us. Sheriff McKay stood up, took them both away. That night, the air felt honest again, like the land itself was letting out a breath. But honesty doesn't come without echoes. By morning, the HOA board was in pieces, news spreading, neighbors apologizing, the prosecutor overwhelmed with evidence. They tried to blame Donald, cutting him loose, but Marcus said, "If he flips, the board collapses. If he stays quiet, they buy time." Then a handwritten note appeared. "You made a mistake." Sarah bagged it for evidence. "Weak men always whisper when they lose their megaphone," she said. The next assembly, Judge Ramirez took over. He laid it out: fraud, intimidation, abuse of power. The HOA leadership was suspended, county oversight installed. Bethany, stripped of her crown, tried to protest. "You built walls," Sarah told her quietly. "Now you'll see who lived outside them." As the rain began, Ernest tipped his hat. "Knew you'd bring it back to level, Jake." But Bethany didn't quit. Filed a counterclaim for defamation, pushed for a trial. The hearing came quick. Inside, Sarah and Marcus laid out the records. Wire transfers, permits, maps, everything. Then the twist. Anonymous records proved Bethany controlled the security firm directly, signed every check. The judge found probable cause, embezzlement, fraud, intimidation, and restored every right we'd ever had to the land. HOA injunction gone. Our property, free and clear. I stepped out into the sunlight, feeling lighter than I had in years. Marcus called that night. Her assets are frozen. If she cooperates, she'll avoid federal time. But your land is safe, Jake. That's all I ever wanted. Sarah looked out across the valley. Funny thing about floods, they destroy, but sometimes they wash away exactly what needs to go. The quiet returned. The air felt like it could breathe again. A few weeks later, Sarah left for D.C. Before she went, she asked, "Ever think about selling this place?" "Not after what it took to keep it," I said. She smiled, and I watched her drive off, knowing the land would remember her, just like it remembered everyone who'd held the line before. Now the ranch is quiet. No patrol trucks. No threats. The sign on the gate reads private access by deed and by law, carved by my own hand. That boundary isn't just a fence, it's a promise. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It rustles in the grass, hums through the wire, and drifts across the water with the morning light. If you've ever had to stand your ground for what's yours, you know the feeling when justice finally breathes. So tell me, would you have done the same? Or maybe you've got your own HOA story. Drop it below. Out here, we believe land, truth, and dignity are worth defending. Quietly, but all the way.